My beloved child, listen carefully, because this moment is not random, and this message did not arrive by accident. What you are hearing right now is a divine interruption. Heaven has paused time just to speak to you. This is a test, and it is happening now, not later, not tomorrow. Archangel Michael is stepping forward with a message that carries weight, authority, and urgency. God himself has released a fortune check with your name written on it in the spirit. And yes, this check is worth millions. But hear me clearly, hesitation is the test. Right now, as these words enter your ears, a spiritual clock is ticking. Not to scare you, but to awaken you. Because when God tests, he does not test to destroy. He tests to reveal. And what is about to be revealed is whether you are ready to receive what you have been praying for, crying for, and secretly hoping would one day arrive. Archangel Michael says this check did not come from chance. It came from alignment. For too long, you have been faithful in silence. You showed up when no one applauded. You kept believing when logic told you to quit. Heaven saw every tear, every delayed answer, every door that closed in your face. And now God says, I am testing their readiness, not their worth. This is important, so don't let your mind wander. The enemy always attacks focus right before a breakthrough. If you feel a sudden urge to doubt, scroll away, or question whether this message is for you, that is the test activating. Archangel Michael is standing guard right now, separating those who recognize divine timing from those who let fear decide. You see, a fortune is not just money. It is responsibility. It is expansion. It is influence. It is legacy. And God never releases millions into hands that still shake with fear. That is why the test is not about effort. It is about response. 5 seconds, Michael says. Not because God is impatient, but because delay reveals disbelief. When God speaks, obedience is not loud. It is immediate. When heaven opens a door, you don't analyze the hinges, you walk through. This check represents restoration for everything that was stolen from you emotionally, financially, and spiritually. It represents compensation for years where you were underpaid, overlooked, and underestimated. But Archangel Michael warns, this blessing requires decisiveness. Heaven is watching what you do when opportunity arrives suddenly. Right now, something inside you feels stirred. Your heartbeat shifted. That's not imagination. That's confirmation. Your spirit recognizes this frequency because it has been waiting for it. God says, I am seeing if they still believe me without proof. Many fail this test because they hesitate, not outwardly but inwardly. They say, what if this isn't real? What if I'm disappointed again? What if I hope and it doesn't happen? But faith does not ask what if. Faith says even if. Archangel Michael is very clear. This message is not for everyone. It is only for those who have survived pressure without losing purity. Those who could have become bitter but chose to stay soft. Those who could have walked away but stayed planted. If you are still here listening, that already tells heaven something about you. This fortune check is connected to a divine assignment. God is not blessing you just to upgrade your comfort. He is positioning you to fund purpose. You help others, to change bloodlines, to break cycles, to build what others only talked about. But here is the test again. Listen carefully. The moment you hesitate, the moment you overthink, the moment you talk yourself out of belief, the door begins to close. Not because God is cruel, but because readiness cannot be forced. Michael says, the check does not vanish because God changes his mind. It vanishes because the receiver changed theirs. Right now, heaven is asking one question: do you trust me when I move suddenly? This is why this message feels urgent. This is why your spirit feels alert. This is why you were led here at this exact time. God often sends blessings disguised as interruptions. In the next moment of this message, Archangel Michael is going to reveal why this test is happening now, and what specific shift in your life triggered heaven to release this fortune in the first place. What you are about to hear will connect dots from your past that never made sense until now. Stay present. Something powerful is unfolding. Chosen one, take a deep breath and stay with me, because what Archangel Michael is revealing now explains why this test is happening at this exact moment of your life. This is not random timing. This is not spiritual entertainment. This is alignment colliding with readiness. Heaven does not move early, and it never moves late. It moves when the soul is positioned correctly. And Michael says you crossed an unseen line recently, a line that triggered God's attention. You may not even realize when it happened. It could have been the moment you decided not to retaliate when you were wronged. It could have been the night you prayed through tears and still chose gratitude. It could have been the season where you had every reason to give up, yet something inside you whispered, "Keep going." That whisper was not yours. That was God preparing you for increase. Archangel Michael says this test is not about whether you deserve the fortune. Heaven already settled that question. This test is about whether you will recognize it when it arrives. Many people pray for abundance but panic when it shows up suddenly. They ask God for overflow but hesitate when the cup starts running over. That hesitation reveals a deeper fear, not of lack, but of responsibility. You see, millions change how people see you. Millions change how people approach you. Millions amplify both blessing and opposition. And God will not release that level of increase to someone who still needs external validation to feel secure. That is why this test feels internal. No one around you knows it's happening. This is between you and heaven. Michael says something critical here. The enemy cannot stop what God has already approved, but he can distract you long enough for you to doubt your own readiness. That is why your mind may feel noisy right now. Thoughts racing, questions popping up, old disappointments resurfacing. This is resistance before release. But hear this clearly. If you were not ready, you would not be hearing this message. Heaven does not test unqualified souls. It tests trusted ones. This fortune check is symbolic of a transfer, a shift from survival mode into stewardship. God is moving you from praying for provision to managing overflow, and that requires a different mindset, a different speed of obedience, a different level of trust. Archangel Michael says the reason the test includes urgency is because your next season requires decisiveness. Where God is taking you, delay will cost opportunity. You will need to recognize doors quickly. You will need to move when God says move, even if everything is not explained yet. This test is training you for that frequency. Now listen closely, because this part is important for your journey. If this message is resonating, if something inside you feels activated, this is the moment to anchor yourself. Engage with this message, not out of superstition, but out of alignment. When you like this video, you are signaling agreement. When you comment, you are declaring participation. When you share it, you are partnering with the assignment. And when you subscribe and join this community, you are staying connected to the frequency that brought you here in the first place. This channel is not about hype. It's about preparation. So take a moment. Like the video. Drop a comment that reflects your faith. Share this message with someone who had been waiting for confirmation. Subscribe and stay connected, because what is unfolding is not a one-time word. It is a sequence. Archangel Michael emphasizes this. The check does not vanish because you fail a rule. It vanishes because fear talks louder than faith. God is watching which voice you obey under pressure. That is the real test. You have been trained through delay. You have been refined through disappointment. You have been strengthened through silence. And now heaven says, show me what you learned. Right now, you are closer to a breakthrough than you realize. The reason this feels intense is because transition always compresses time. Old seasons collapse quickly when new ones are ready to emerge. That is why God is asking for immediate trust. Not blind faith, but practiced faith. Archangel Michael is standing as a witness. He is not writing you, he is revealing you. Revealing what you truly believe when the blessing comes faster than expected. And here is the truth many are not ready to hear. Abundance exposes identity. Lack hides it. When you had nothing, people understood you. When you have much, expectations change. God is making sure you won't shrink when expansion comes. So if your heart feels steady right now, that is a good sign. If you feel alert, awake, and strangely calm, that is confirmation. You are not panicking because your spirit recognizes this test. Hold on, because what comes next explains how this fortune connects to a specific promise God made to you long ago, one you may have thought was forgotten. This next revelation will change how you see your past, and you will be glad you stayed present for it. My precious one, what Archangel Michael is unveiling now reaches back into a promise God whispered to you long before you understood its meaning. This is the part many overlook, yet it holds the key to why this fortune is not sudden in heaven's eyes. God marked you earlier than you think. There was a moment in your past, quiet, ordinary, almost forgettable, when you made a choice that aligned your spirit with obedience instead of convenience. Heaven recorded that moment, even though no one else did. You may remember it as a season where nothing seemed to change on the outside. You kept doing the right thing while results stayed invisible. You kept trusting when evidence was absent. That was not wasted time. That was planting season. Archangel Michael says God doth not rush harvests that are meant to last. He waits until the roots can carry the weight of the fruit. His fortune check is connected to that long obedience. The promise did not die, it matured. God allowed time to pass not to deny you, but to develop you. Had this blessing arrived earlier, it would have overwhelmed you. And now it is about to empower you. Michael reveals something deeper. The test you are in right now is not the first one. It is the final confirmation. Heaven already knows your faith. What God is measuring now is your self-perception. Do you see yourself the way He sees you, or do you still see yourself through old wounds and past limitations? This is why hesitation matters. Hesitation often comes from an outdated identity, a version of you that survived it, but never updated its expectations. God is saying, you prayed for this version of life. Are you willing to become the version of yourself that can live it? There were moments you felt forgotten. Moments you wondered if your prayers bounced off the ceiling. Moments where you almost stopped believing big things could happen for you. Archangel Michael says those moments did not disqualify you. They refined you. You learned humility. You learned compassion. You learned patience. And now heaven trusts you with more because you will not forget where you came from. This fortune is not about luxury. It is about leverage. God is about to give you influence where your voice carries weight, where your decisions open doors for others, where your generosity becomes a testimony. And that is why this test feels spiritual, not financial. Michael says the reason this message feels personal is because it is. God is speaking directly to your spirit, bypassing logic. If your heart feels exposed right now, that is not discomfort. It is alignment. Light always feels intense when it first touches hidden places. Understand this. The enemy tried to exhaust you so you would settle for less. He tried to delay you until you doubted yourself. But delay did not change God's mind. It only strengthened your endurance. And now endurance is about to meet reward. This is the moment where you stop negotiating with fear, where you stop asking permission to receive what God already approved, where you stop shrinking your expectations to avoid disappointment. Archangel Michael says heaven responds when faith stops apologizing. Right now, something is shifting internally. You may feel clarity, or peace, or a quiet confidence rising. That is your spirit stepping into agreement. God is not asking you to understand every detail. He is asking you to trust His character. This is also a moment of responsibility. What you receive next will require wisdom, not impulse. Discernment, not ego. That is why God tested your heart before He tested your hands. You passed the quiet tests. Now you are facing the visible one. Michael stands firm and declares, the promise you thought expired is being reactivated. The door you thought closed was only delayed. The check did not disappear. It was preserved until you were ready to recognize its value. If you feel this message pressing on your spirit, do not brush it off. This is a threshold moment. Heaven does not announce these lightly. This is a crossing. And now, before this moment seals, Archangel Michael releases a spiritual marker. Type "I receive the promise" in the comments if this is speaking to your spirit. Blessing code 8881 has just been released. If this message stirred your heart, understand this. What you are witnessing here is more than a video. It is a river, and rivers are meant to flow outward. I am speaking to those who feel called to help carry this word further. When you give through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal, you are not supporting a channel. You are sowing light into places that have been dark for too long. God is saying, as you release seed into my work, I will release soil into your life. This is that moment where obedience becomes action and action unlocks harvest. Your giving becomes a prophetic response, a yes spoken with your hands. I speak blessing over every seed sown. May it return multiplied, pressed down, and overflowing. Do it now and partner with what God is releasing in this hour. Beloved soul, what unfolds now is the hidden mechanics behind how heaven moves wealth, favor, and opportunity into the physical realm. Archangel Michael is not only a messenger, he is a warrior of order, and order always precedes overflow. God does not release increase into chaos. He releases it into alignment. That is why this moment feels like clarity is slowly settling over confusion you have carried for years. Michael says there has been a rearranging happening in your life that you may not have fully understood. Certain people drifted away. Certain plans fell apart. Certain doors closed without explanation. You questioned whether you made mistakes. You replayed conversations. You wondered if you missed something. But heaven was not punishing you, it was positioning you. God was removing what could not go with you into the next level. This fortune check is not arriving into the old version of your life. It is arriving into a new structure God has been building quietly behind the scenes. The reason you felt isolated at times was because construction requires separation. God had to work on your foundation without interruption. Archangel Michael says something powerful here. Before God multiplies resources, He multiplies discernment. You are beginning to see more clearly now. You notice patterns you once ignored. You sense motives you once missed. This is not suspicion. It is spiritual maturity. And that maturity is required to steward what is coming. The test you are in is also about trust in timing. Many blessings fail not because they are wrong, but because they arrive when the receiver is impatient. God waited until your appetite changed. You no longer crave quick wins. You crave stability. You crave purpose. You crave meaning. That shift told heaven you were ready. Michael reveals that the fortune attached to you is not meant to impress strangers. It is meant to impact generations. God is thinking long-term with you. That is why He allowed you to experience seasons where money felt tight, plans felt delayed, and answers felt slow. You learned to value provision, not worship it. You learned to seek God, not outcomes. And now listen closely. The enemy tried to convince you that your slow progress meant failure. But slow progress in God's hands is still progress. In fact, He often means precision. God was calibrating your steps so you would not outrun your protection. There were moments when you wanted to force doors open. Moments when you considered shortcuts. Moments when you almost compromised your values just to move forward. Archangel Michael says heaven took note every time you chose integrity over speed. Those decisions built spiritual credit you could not see at the time. This is why the fortune is being released suddenly. Suddenness is not randomness. It is accumulated obedience reaching fullness. When the measure is complete, heaven moves quickly. You are also being tested in how you receive good news. Some people are comfortable with struggle because it is familiar. Blessing feels foreign. Peace feels suspicious. Rest feels undeserved. God is teaching you to rest without guilt, to receive without apology, to celebrate without fear of loss. Michael says the check represents permission. Permission to expand. Permission to dream again. Permission to build without constantly bracing for collapse. God is healing your expectation, not just your circumstances. There is also a warning woven gently into this message. When the blessing manifests, voices will emerge. Advice will come from every direction. Opinions will multiply. Not all counsel will be aligned. That is why God trained you to hear Him clearly first. Stay anchored. Stay discerning. Stay humble. You are not meant to announce everything you receive. Some blessings grow best in silence. Archangel Michael reminds you that protection often looks like privacy. What God gives you does not need validation to be valuable. This is also a season where gratitude becomes a weapon. Gratitude keeps your heart soft in abundance. It keeps pride from creeping in. It keeps generosity flowing. God is looking for stewards, not owners. If you feel a sense of responsibility rising, that is good. It means you understand that this fortune is not just about you. It is about what flows through you. God trusts you because you have already proven faithful with little, with delay, with uncertainty. Right now, heaven is stabilizing you emotionally. Sudden blessings can shock the nervous system. God is gently preparing your inner world so your outer world can expand without imbalance. Archangel Michael stands watch and declares that confusion is lifting. Fear is loosening its grip. Old narratives are losing power. You are stepping into clarity, and clarity brings confidence. Do not rush ahead in excitement. Walk steadily in trust. God is not asking you to sprint. He is asking you to stay aligned. The path ahead is opening one step at a time, and each step will feel solid beneath your feet. What comes next will reveal how this fortune begins to manifest, not all at once, but in unmistakable signs that confirm God's hand. You will recognize them when they appear. And when they do, you will know this message was not just words, it was preparation. Beloved one, as Archangel Michael continues to stand beside you in this moment, he now draws your attention to the subtle signs that precede visible manifestation. God rarely moves without first sending signals. These signals are not loud, they are precise. They appear as patterns, confirmations, and shifts that feel small individually but powerful when seen together. You are entering a phase where coincidence will no longer explain what is happening around you. Michael says the fortune attached to your life does not arrive as chaos. It arrives as order. Before the check becomes visible, your environment begins to respond. Conversations change. Opportunities resurface. People who once dismissed you suddenly remember your name. None of this is accidental. It is the atmosphere adjusting to what heaven has already approved. You may notice your intuition sharpening. Decisions that once felt heavy now feel clear. Choices that confused you before suddenly feel obvious. This is because God is aligning your perception with His intention. He is removing mental fog so you do not misinterpret the season you are in. Archangel Michael reveals that one of the first signs of incoming blessing is emotional stabilization. You are less reactive, less easily shaken, less desperate for outcomes. This is not numbness. It is trust taking root. God is steadying your inner world so external increase does not destabilize you. There is also a quiet separation happening. You may feel less drawn to certain conversations, habits, or environments that once occupied much of your time. This is not judgment. It is discernment. When God prepares to entrust more, He refines focus. Distractions lose their appeal because your spirit recognizes what matters now. Michael says this is the season where delayed prayers begin to echo back to you. Things you prayed years ago suddenly resurface in new forms. The shape may be different, but the essence is the same. God did not forget your words. He matured them. You are also being prepared to recognize provision when it does not come wrapped the way you expected. Sometimes the check arrives as an introduction. Sometimes as an idea. Sometimes as a strategic connection. God is expanding your definition of blessing so you do not miss it while waiting for a single form. There may be moments where excitement rises, followed by a sudden urge to downplay it. You may catch yourself thinking, "Let me not get my hopes up." Archangel Michael gently warns against shrinking your expectation to protect yourself. Hope is not the enemy. Fear of disappointment is. God is teaching you to hope without anxiety. This season requires patience of a different kind. Not the patience of waiting, but the patience of stewardship. You will need to resist the urge to rush announcements, to explain yourself, or to prove anything. What God is building will speak for itself in time. Michael emphasizes that integrity will be tested again, but differently. Not through lack, but through actions. When multiple doors open, discernment becomes more important than desire. God will guide you, but you must stay attentive. Do not assume every open door is yours to walk through. You may feel a growing sense of responsibility toward others, a desire to help, to give, to contribute meaningfully. This is not pressure. It is purpose awakening. God is aligning your heart with the reason He is blessing you. Archangel Michael says you are also being shielded. There are conversations you will not be invited into, information you will not have access to, paths that will quietly close. This is protection, not loss. God is guarding your peace and your future. As the manifestation draws closer, you may experience moments of stillness where nothing seems to happen. Do not mistake silence for stagnation. Seeds grow underground before breaking the surface. Heaven often works fastest where it looks slowest. You are being reminded to remain grounded. Continue the routines that kept you steady in lean seasons. Prayer, gratitude, discipline. These are anchors, not limitations. They will keep you balanced when momentum increases. Michael says the fortune is approaching in waves, not a single surge. Each wave builds capacity for the next. Receive each stage with humility. Celebrate progress without demanding completion. God's timing is layered, not rushed. If doubt tries to reappear, remember what has already shifted within you. You are not who you were. You do not react the same. You do not think the same. That alone is evidence that God has been working deeply. This is a moment to listen more than speak, to observe more than announce, to trust more than analyze. Heaven is close. Alignment is strong. And what is forming now will soon cross from the unseen into the undeniable. Archangel Michael remains present, guarding the process. What is coming will not confuse you. It will confirm you. And when it begins to unfold, you will recognize that this preparation was not delay. It was mercy. Beloved child, Archangel Michael now brings your attention to the moment many are unprepared for. The moment right before visible acceleration. This is where internal alignment must stay stronger than external pressure. God is not only opening doors, He is watching how you walk toward them. Speed is increasing, but precision still matters. Michael says the next phase of your life will require confidence without arrogance and humility without hesitation. That balance is rare, and it is the reason heaven trained you through contrast. You learn strength through weakness. You learn wisdom through waiting. And now you are learning restraint in the presence of opportunity. You may notice that things are beginning to move faster than before. Conversations progress quickly. Ideas gain traction. Plans that once stalled now advance with less resistance. This does not mean there will be no challenges. It means challenges will no longer define the outcome. God is shifting you from reactive living into intentional leadership. Archangel Michael reveals that one of the greatest tests in this season is discernment of voices. When increase approaches, opinions multiply. Some will praise you. Some will question you. Some will suddenly want access to you. You must remember who shaped you when nothing was happening. Stay anchored to God's voice above all others. This is also a season where self-doubt tries to disguise itself as humility. Thoughts like, "Am I really ready?" or "What if I mess this up?" may surface. Michael says those thoughts are not warnings. They are echoes of an old season. God would not bring you here if He had not already equipped you. You are not stepping into something fragile. You are stepping into something sustained by heaven. That is why you are being reminded not to rush decisions emotionally. Let peace lead, not pressure. Let clarity guide, not excitement. Michael emphasizes that gratitude will now protect you. Gratitude keeps your heart aligned when momentum increases. It keeps you grounded when recognition comes. It keeps your spirit open when responsibility grows. Thankfulness is not passive, it is stabilizing. You may feel called to refine your environment. Clean up schedules. Simplify commitments. Set boundaries that once felt uncomfortable. This is not selfishness. It is stewardship. God is creating margin so you can respond quickly when He directs you. Archangel Michael also says this is a moment to engage actively with what resonates. When a message strengthens your faith, acknowledge it. When a word aligns your spirit, affirm it. Engagement is not about algorithms, it is about agreement. If this message is speaking to you, take a moment to like it. Let that be a sign of alignment. Leave a comment that reflects what God is stirring in you. Share this message with someone who needs clarity right now. Subscribe and stay connected, because what is unfolding is not a single moment. It is a journey of preparation and release. And now hear this carefully. There is a quiet confidence growing in you, and that is intentional. God is teaching you to move without needing constant reassurance. When the blessing manifests, you will not need to convince anyone it is real. The fruit will speak. Michael warns against revisiting old narratives. Do not reopen doors God already closed. Do not re-explain decisions heaven already affirmed. Forward motion requires forward focus. This season may feel lonely at times, not because you are isolated, but because your alignment has changed. Not everyone can walk at this pace. Not everyone can carry this weight. God will bring the right connections at the right time. You are also learning to rest without fear. Rest does not mean inactivity. It means trust. God is showing you that you do not have to strain to sustain what He is building. There may be moments where progress feels invisible again. Do not panic. Expansion happens in cycles. What matters is that the direction has shifted permanently. You are no longer circling. You are advancing. Archangel Michael says heaven is pleased with your posture. Not perfection, but willingness. Not certainty, but trust. This is why protection surrounds you even when you do not feel it. Hold steady. Stay attentive. Keep your heart open and your mind anchored. What comes next will require courage, not the courage to start, but the courage to continue when things become real. And hold on, because what is about to be revealed next will explain why this blessing cannot be delayed any longer, and why timing is now working in your favor in ways you have never seen before. Beloved one, Archangel Michael now speaks of divine urgency, not panic, not pressure, but alignment reaching its appointed hour. There are moments in life when preparation quietly ends and movement begins. You are standing at that threshold. The reason things feel heightened is because delay has finished its assignment. What once needed time now needs action. Michael says heaven has been patient with your process, but now heaven is assertive with your purpose. This is not because you were slow, but because everything else had to catch up to your obedience. God was aligning people, systems, opportunities, and timing all at once. That kind of coordination cannot be rushed, but once complete, it moves swiftly. You may feel a subtle shift in how you relate to the future. Fear no longer dominates your thoughts the way it once did. Instead, there is a sober awareness that your decisions matter more now. This is maturity, not pressure. God is entrusting you with influence, and influence requires intention. Archangel Michael reveals that one of the clearest signs of alignment is when excuses lose their power. You no longer feel the same pull to delay, to postpone, to wait for perfect conditions. You are beginning to understand that obedience often creates clarity after the step is taken, not before. This is also a season where your prayers change tone. You ask less for rescue and more for wisdom, less for escape and more for strategy. That shift tells heaven you are no longer trying to survive, you are preparing to build. Michael says God is bringing you into rooms you once imagined from a distance. When that happens, familiarity may try to disguise itself as insecurity. You may think, I don't belong here. That thought is not humility. It is residue from an old season. You belong because God placed you there. There will be moments where the weight of responsibility feels heavy. Not overwhelming, but sobering. That weight is a sign of trust. God only entrusts weight to those who have learned how to carry it without dropping what matters. You are also learning restraint in speech. You say less, observe more. You choose words carefully. This is not fear, it is wisdom. Silence is becoming a tool, not a shield. Archangel Michael says heaven often moves strongest around those who do not need to announce every step. There may be a temptation to look back and measure how far you have come. Reflection is healthy, but do not linger there. The past was training. The future requires presence. God is doing something now that needs your full attention. Michael also speaks of spiritual stamina. What you are stepping into is not a short burst. It is sustained movement. God has been strengthening your endurance quietly. That is why you are still standing after seasons that would have broken others. You were built for longevity. You may notice that distractions no longer satisfy you. Things that once filled time now feel empty. This is not boredom, it is refinement. God is narrowing your focus so your energy is not scattered when momentum increases. Archangel Michael emphasizes that integrity will continue to guard you. There will be opportunities to compromise for faster results. Resist them. What God is building through you is meant to last beyond trends, beyond seasons, beyond applause. You are also being taught to receive help without losing authority, partnership without dependency, collaboration without dilution. This balance is critical. God will send people who add strength, not confusion. This is a moment where trust becomes active, not passive belief but lived confidence. You take steps even when outcomes are not guaranteed, because your confidence is not in results. It is in God's guidance. Michael says heaven is attentive to your posture right now. Not anxious, not entitled, open, steady, willing. That posture attracts favor because it leaves room for God to lead. You may experience moments of quiet joy, unannounced peace that does not depend on circumstances. That joy is a sign that your spirit is aligning with what is coming. It is heaven's reassurance before visibility. Do not rush to interpret every sign. Some confirmations are meant to be felt, not analyzed. Trust what resonates deeply, not what merely excites. Archangel Michael stands firm and declares that resistance is weakening. What once blocked you no longer has authority. Doors are responding to your presence because God's hand is upon you. Remain attentive. Remain grounded. Remain obedient. The next unfolding will reveal how this alignment turns into tangible outcomes, and you will recognize that this moment was not the peak, it was a passage. My beloved one, Archangel Michael now brings you to a sacred turning point, a moment where heaven pauses not to delay you, but to witness your response. This is the crossing many approach, but few recognize. What you are sensing now is not imagination, it is confirmation. The spiritual atmosphere around you is shifting because something has been authorized above you. Michael says the reason this phase feels different is because you are no longer being prepared in theory. You are being prepared in proximity. What God promised is no longer distant. It is near enough to require restraint, wisdom, and reverence. This is where many stumble, not because they lack faith, but because they rush familiarity with what should be honored. You may notice that your emotions feel heightened, yet strangely stable. Excitement without chaos. Anticipation without fear. This balance is rare, and it tells heaven that you are learning how to carry good news without losing peace. God is teaching you how to hold joy steadily, not desperately. Archangel Michael reveals that the blessing approaching you will test your boundaries, not by force, but by opportunity. You will be invited into spaces that demand more of your time, energy, and presence. You must remember that access does not always equal assignment. Discernment will protect your future more than enthusiasm. There is also a refining happening in how you hear God. You are learning the difference between impulse and instruction, between excitement and alignment. This clarity is critical because the next steps will require precision. God is not asking you to move faster. He is asking you to move accurately. Michael says this is a moment to guard your inner narrative. Do not speak against yourself. Do not rehearse old failures. Do not minimize what God is doing just to stay comfortable. Humility does not require self-denial. It requires truth. And the truth is, you have grown. You are also being invited into rest that does not feel lazy, but holy. A rest that comes from trust, not exhaustion. God is showing you that striving is no longer necessary. The doors opening now respond to alignment, not effort. Archangel Michael warns gently, do not rush to explain your journey to those who did not walk it with you. Some understanding comes only through obedience. Silence will protect what explanation cannot. As this blessing draws closer, you may feel moments of awe. Let them come. Awe keeps the heart soft. Awe keeps gratitude alive. Awe reminds you that this is not self-made. God is involved. You are also being strengthened to withstand visibility. What was once hidden will not remain so forever. And when attention comes, you must remember who you were when no one was watching. That memory will keep you grounded. Michael says heaven is pleased with your posture. You did not demand. You did not manipulate. You waited. And waiting did not weaken you. It refined you. That is why what is coming will not crush you. It will expand you. This is also a reminder that obedience is ongoing. Passing one test does not end the journey. It advances it. God will continue to guide you step by step, but He expects continued sensitivity. Stay teachable. Stay prayerful. Stay aligned. If you feel your heart burning quietly, that is recognition. Your spirit knows this is real. You are not forcing belief. You are remembering truth. Now, Archangel Michael releases a spiritual seal over this moment. Type I am ready to receive in the comments if your spirit agrees. Blessing code 9417 has just been activated. And hear this clearly as we transition. This message does not end with you. It flows through you. I am speaking now to those who feel the weight of this word and know they are called to help carry it further. When you give through super thanks, membership, or PayPal, you are not funding content. You are releasing oil into a lamp that is lighting dark places. God says, what you place in my hands, I will multiply back into your life. This is not a donation. It is a prophetic action. Your seed becomes a signal in the Spirit, and heaven responds to signals of obedience. I speak blessing over every giver. May your provision increase. May your clarity sharpen. May your peace deepen. Act now. Release the seed. Partner with what God is doing in this hour. Beloved child, Archangel Michael now draws your awareness to the quiet confidence that settles after alignment is sealed. This is not excitement fading. It is assurance taking root. When heaven confirms a thing, noise decreases and clarity remains. You are entering a stage where faith becomes calm instead of urgent, steady instead of strained. Michael says this is the phase where many mistake peace for pause. But peace is not delay. Peace is readiness. God is steadying your heart so you can recognize opportunity without panic and respond without pressure. What is coming will require presence more than speed. You may notice that your reactions have changed. Situations that once triggered anxiety now feel manageable. Conversations that once drained you no longer carry the same weight. This is not detachment. It is authority forming. You are no longer emotionally controlled by circumstances because your trust is anchored deeper. Archangel Michael reveals that one of the greatest signs of maturation is discernment without suspicion. You are learning to sense alignment without becoming guarded. This balance is rare and valuable. God is shaping you into someone who can lead without fear and receive without insecurity. This season may feel strangely ordinary on the surface. Daily routines continue. Responsibilities remain. But underneath, something has shifted permanently. God often embeds miracles into normalcy so only the attentive recognize them. You are also being prepared for consistency. Sudden blessings attract attention, but sustained favor requires character. Heaven is not just opening a door, it is inviting you into a corridor. What you do repeatedly will matter more than what you do once. Michael says this is a moment to strengthen habits that support clarity. Protect your mornings. Guard your rest. Maintain your prayer. These are not rituals. They are alignment practices. They keep your inner world ordered while your outer world expands. You may feel prompted to revisit certain skills, ideas, or dreams you set aside long ago. This is not nostalgia. It is retrieval. God is restoring tools you will need in the next phase. What once seemed irrelevant now fits perfectly. Archangel Michael also speaks of humility and success. Not shrinking, but remembering. Remember who helped you when nothing was visible. Remember who stayed when progress was slow. Gratitude keeps success from becoming isolation. There may be moments where impatience tries to surface again. A desire to see everything completed now. Michael says gently, do not rush the unfolding. God is intentional in how he reveals each layer. Premature exposure can attract unnecessary interference. You are also being taught to receive affirmation without dependence. Praise may come. Recognition may follow. Accept it graciously, but do not anchor your identity to it. Your foundation must remain in God's voice, not public response. This season will require selective vulnerability. Share wisely. Celebrate quietly. Protect what is still forming. Not everyone needs access to your process. Michael reminds you that favor attracts both opportunity and responsibility. You will be asked to decide more often, to lead more clearly, to respond more thoughtfully. This is growth, not burden. You may notice that certain prayers you once repeated often now feel complete. You no longer ask the same way. That is because God already answered in principle. The manifestation is catching up to the agreement already made in the Spirit. Archangel Michael declares that heaven is not uncertain about you. The questions you ask are not doubts to God. They are signs of care. He honors your desire to steward well. As you continue forward, you will recognize small confirmations, timely conversations, unexpected provisions, subtle openings. Do not dismiss them. They are markers along the path. This is also a season where obedience becomes quieter, less dramatic, more consistent. That is maturity. God trusts you to move without constant reassurance. If at times you feel alone in your understanding, remember this. Pioneers often walk slightly ahead of explanation. Clarity for others comes later. For now, clarity is yours. Archangel Michael stands guard over what is unfolding. He reminds you that protection is active, even when invisible. You are not exposed. You are covered. Remain steady. Remain attentive. The next phase will reveal how this peace transitions into tangible progress, and you will recognize that this calm was not the end. It was the foundation. Beloved one, Archangel Michael now brings a sober and powerful awareness. What is approaching you will require participation, not observation. This is not a season where things simply happen around you. This is a season where heaven invites you to respond in real time. God hath been aligning circumstances, but now he is aligning choices. Michael says many people miss divine moments not because they are unworthy, but because they stay passive when action is required. You have been prepared differently. You have learned how to listen, how to wait, and now how to move. This balance is rare, and it is why heaven is trusting you with more. You may feel a growing sense of responsibility, as if your decisions suddenly carry more weight. That feeling is accurate. God is expanding your influence, and influence always sharpens consequence. What you say yes to now shapes months ahead. What you decline protects your future. Archangel Michael emphasizes that obedience in this season will not always feel dramatic. Sometimes it will feel like a quiet nudge, a thought that persists, a door that keeps reopening. Pay attention to repetition. God often confirms direction through consistency, not intensity. You are also learning to recognize divine interruption. Plans may change unexpectedly. Schedules may shift. Do not resist these moments automatically. Some interruptions are invitations in disguise. Ask before you adjust. Listen before you react. Michael says heaven is also watching how you treat small opportunities. Do not underestimate beginnings. What starts modestly can carry exponential impact when God is involved. Faithfulness in what looks small keeps doors open for what looks large. This is a season to stay engaged, not detach. When something resonates, acknowledge it. When clarity comes, act on it. When confirmation arrives, receive it fully. Engagement is a form of agreement. If this message has been guiding you, strengthening you, or sharpening your awareness, this is the moment to anchor yourself. Like this video as a sign of alignment. Leave a comment, not out of habit, but as a declaration of readiness. Share this message with someone who needs direction right now. Subscribe and stay connected, because what is unfolding is not isolated, it is progressive. And if this space has been feeding your spirit, joining the community keeps you positioned for what comes next. Archangel Michael reminds you that momentum is building, but momentum must be stewarded. Do not rush ahead emotionally. Do not slow down mentally. Stay present. Stay prayerful. Stay responsive. There may be moments where fear tries to return, disguised as caution. Discern the difference. Wisdom pauses to listen. Fear pauses to avoid. You will know the difference by the fruit it produces. You are also being trained to receive without guilt. When help arrives, accept it. When favor appears, welcome it. God is teaching you that receiving is also obedience. You cannot steward what you refuse to hold. Michael says this is a season where clarity replaces confusion gradually, not instantly. Do not demand full vision before taking the next step. God often reveals the path as you walk it. Light moves with obedience. You may feel a growing confidence in your voice. You speak more clearly. You hesitate less. This is not arrogance. It is alignment. When your inner world settles, your expression follows. Archangel Michael also warns against isolation disguised as focus. While solitude has shaped you, connection will now support you. God will bring the right people at the right time. Stay open but discerning. This is a moment to remember your source. Stay rooted. Stay grateful. Stay humble. Success does not disconnect you from God. It deepens your dependence when stewarded well. You are closer than you think. not just to manifestation, but to understanding why it took this long. Soon, the delay will make sense. The waiting will feel wise. The timing will feel precise. Hold on, because what is about to be revealed next explains how this blessing settles into permanence, not as a moment, but as a new normal. This is where it gets truly interesting, and you will want to stay with this unfolding. Beloved soul, Archangel Michael now speaks from a place of establishment, not anticipation. This is the stage where what God releases is no longer fragile. It is settling. It is taking root. It is becoming structure. Many people can receive a blessing, but few can sustain it. That is why heaven has taken such care with your preparation. Michael says this phase is about permanence. God is not interested in momentary elevation for you. He is building something that remains when emotions settle, when attention shifts, and when seasons change. What is forming now is meant to outlast excitement and endure responsibility. You may notice that your mindset has subtly shifted from "is this really happening?" to "how do I steward this well?" That shift is crucial. It means you are no longer just a receiver. You are becoming a guardian. God entrusts permanence to those who think beyond themselves. This season will test your consistency more than your faith. Faith brought you here. Consistency will keep you here. The small disciplines you once practiced out of necessity will now be practiced out of wisdom. Continue them. They are anchors. Archangel Michael reveals that permanence requires boundaries. You will need to decide what has access to you and what does not. Not everyone who celebrates your rise is meant to sit at your table. Discernment will save you from emotional leakage and spiritual fatigue. You are also being taught patience with growth. What God is establishing will expand steadily, not explosively. This is intentional. Rapid growth can create shallow roots. God prefers depth over speed. There may be moments where you are tempted to compare your progress with others. Resist this. Comparison distorts stewardship. What God is building through you has a different architecture, a different purpose, and a different timeline. Michael says this is a season where silence becomes strength. You do not need to announce every win. You do not need to defend every decision. Let results speak. Let peace confirm. Let God handle validation. You may experience moments of reflection where you realize how much you have changed. Things that once mattered deeply now feel distant. That is not loss. It is transformation. Growth always creates distance from former priorities. Archangel Michael also emphasizes humility and mastery. As you become skilled, as confidence grows, remain teachable. God continues to guide those who continue to listen. Pride closes ears. Humility keeps channels open. This phase will also bring clarity about why certain relationships could not continue. You will understand now that it was not rejection, it was protection. God was preserving your focus and guarding your future. You are learning how to carry weight without strain, responsibility without anxiety, authority without dominance. This balance is rare and precious. It is evidence of God's hand. There may be days where nothing dramatic happens. No signs. No confirmations. Just steady movement. Do not underestimate these days. Stability is a miracle in itself. Archangel Michael reminds you that permanence is built through repeated obedience. Not one big act, but many small faithful ones. Joab. Stay aligned. Keep your heart clean. You are also being shown how to manage expectations, yours and others. Not everything needs immediate resolution. Not every request requires a response. Wisdom knows when to act and when to wait. This is a season of maturity. You are no longer driven by urgency. You are guided by purpose. A shift changes everything. Michael says heaven is not anxious about your future. It is secure. What concerns heaven now is depth of character, depth of wisdom, depth of compassion. These will determine how far the blessing travels through generations. You may feel a growing desire to give back, to build others, to create pathways where none existed. This is legacy awakening. God blesses legacy thinkers differently. As this stage settles, you will notice that peace becomes your default, not your reward. That peace is a sign that you are aligned with your assignment. Remain faithful. Remain grounded. The final unfolding will bring closure, confirmation, and a sealing of everything God has spoken. And when that moment arrives, you will see that this journey was not about a fortune alone. It was about becoming someone who could carry it without losing themselves. My beloved child, Archangel Michael now speaks the final sealing of this divine test, and this moment carries completion, not suspense. What God began in preparation, He is now confirming in authority. This is not the end of a message, it is the beginning of a new posture in your life. You are no longer standing at the door. You are stepping into ownership of the season God prepared you for. Michael says this test was never about proving your faith to heaven. Heaven already knew your heart. This test was about revealing your faith to you. God wanted you to see how far you have come, how steady you have become, and how ready you truly are. You are not the same person who first started praying for this breakthrough. You are wiser, calmer, and anchored in truth. The fortune check spoken of was never only about money. It was about trust. It was about authority. It was about capacity. God was asking, can I trust them with increase without losing them to fear, pride, or distraction? And the answer hath been revealed through your response. You no longer hesitate the way you once did. You no longer collapse under pressure. You no longer doubt God's goodness at the first delay. These are not small victories. These are qualifications. Archangel Michael declares that what is now being released into your life is stable. It will not come and go. It will not confuse you. It will not cost you your peace. God has aligned this blessing with your maturity, not your impatience. There will be moments ahead where you remember this message, not because of the words, but because of the clarity it brought. You will recognize decisions where fear once ruled but no longer does. You will notice doors opening that once felt impossible. And you will know this was not luck. This was alignment. Michael also speaks a final warning, wrapped in love. Do not romanticize struggle once blessing arrives. Do not feel guilty for ease. Do not shrink to make others comfortable. You honored God in the waiting. Now honor Him in the receiving. Your life is entering a season where testimony replaces explanation. You will not need to convince people of God's faithfulness. They will see it in the fruit. Stay humble. Stay generous. Stay listening. This is also a season where gratitude becomes your language. Gratitude will keep you grounded. Gratitude will keep doors open. Gratitude will multiply what hath been given. God resists entitlement but accelerates thanksgiving. Archangel Michael says heaven is proud of your endurance, proud of your restraint, proud of your obedience when it was costly. And heaven does not reward effort with emptiness. It rewards faithfulness with fulfillment. Now this message closes with a sacred release. Type I walk in divine confirmation in the comments if you receive this word. Blessing code 1209 is now sealed and activated over your life. And now hear this final invitation, spoken with authority and purpose. If this message carried light into your spirit, Understand that light is meant to travel. I am speaking to those who feel the weight of this assignment and know they are called to help carry it forward. When you release support through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal, you are not giving to a person. You are partnering with God's work. God says, "As you sow into my word, I will establish your storehouses." This is a prophetic act, not a transaction. Your seed becomes obedience in motion. I speak blessing over every giver now. May doors open. May provision increase. May clarity rest on your house. Do it now. Release the seed. Partner with this mission and watch how God responds.